beginning of Sunday and dancing at the other end. That's one way of recognizing the Irish in their relaxation, which is not always in the bottom, as report would have us believe. In places like this, they create a little bit of Ireland. The work and the main opportunities for the overflow from Ireland is still in Britain and will be for some time to come. Despite a drop in emigration from Ireland, the outlook for surplus talent will be in the Midlands and in London. While a millionaire Irishman like Joe Cox, like members of other races, will make money and succeed, as other Irishmen have done, and have even acquired the symbols of 20th century prosperity. Others, with a more modest success, have made themselves felt in the fields of medicine, law, etc.
The Liberals always promised to implement Home Rule, which of course they did, and which they actually got it on the statute book. But unfortunately, owing to the trouble in Ulster and Lord Carson and his people, the bill was, and the war breaking out, the bill was suspended. And I regret to say that since those days, there's been no actual active Irish organisation in England. I regret this very much because it kept the Irish people together and did, I think, a lot of good to the Irish movement at home, and of course in many ways supported industry and helped the emigrants. Now it's become more or less a social society. Clubs are formed all up and down the country, good clubs with an Irish atmosphere, but not doing as we used to do in the previous to that, not actually working for Ireland as we did in my younger days.
Mrs. Lee, there was a tremendous common demand spirit in Manchester in the early years of the century. What happened to it?
Oh, well, like all the other Irish movements, when you had obtained your object, you got your republic, it seemed to break up. But it was a wonderful organisation, and there were some very many girls who would make any sacrifice for Ireland, and the volunteers used them quite a lot to get information for them.
As down the glen came Michael Poindman with their shovels slung behind them. 'Twas in the pub that they drank their sub, and up in the spike you'll find them.
The attitude of the Irish to British politics will be affected largely by the work they do and by the bread and butter issues affecting the family income and welfare. It's the Irishmen who work here in the tradition of the Irish navvy that have the hardest fight to get and keep a decent standard of living.
With horse-faced tool, then I knew the rule. No money if you stop for right. Michael Point God was a well-built hod. Your shoulders could have been and there. And oh, to he went to the party with Michael Point for you the weir.
Oh, the good workers. Wouldn't be so many of them with McAlpines if they weren't good workers.
Do they cause trouble on sites at all?
I think only about the 17th of March.
But many unskilled Irish couldn't get a job quickly, and many trained had to take the wrong job.
Father Dore, what was the big problem among the Irish in Kilburn that needed this vigorous form of social service structure that you've built up here?
Actually, there were three big problems. You had, first of all, employment, housing, and education. There were the three problems facing the Irish coming here.
What was the housing problem?
The housing problem was, it meant that you already had overcrowding. There were always tenants in houses. They could have owned their own houses. We started a scheme then where we'd give them a deposit in a house, and that they'd become the landlords, get a mortgage for them, which meant that every person went into a three-story house. He had 3 flats to give away. He had one for himself, 2 to let, which meant that in every house we put in 3 Irish families. The one who owned it, who had the mortgage, 2 overhead.
Yeah. Well, has this not caused a certain amount of resentment among the English, who may perhaps become the tenants of the Irish?
Oh, it has. As a matter of fact, there's a road over there just beside us where you have Irish landlords and English tenants, and the English people have been here for years, and the Irish have been only here about 10 or 15 years.
And the Irish have bought them out?
Yes, but I mean, fair enough. They made the grade, and that's...
Well, now in jobs and accommodation, surely these were problems that were being dealt with perhaps by Irish societies and by other welfare organisations.
They were never tackled by anybody. There were commercial agencies operating, but you had Euston Station and Paddington Station. They came in every morning. They had a time lag. They arrived in London with their cases. They had a time lag of 2 weeks before they could get accommodation and a job. They had to start that very first day, look for, first of all, accommodation, which took them 3 or 4 days. Their money was wasted. Then they spent 3 or 4 days looking for a job. Then they weren't paid until the following week after working for 1 week, which meant they were 2 or 3 weeks without getting money. It meant that we had to set up our own employment agency. The idea is not to encourage immigration, but rather to have a responsible immigration. It's no use saying, of course, that we shouldn't help them, but if they arrive in Euston Station, 40 of them, well, somebody must look after them. First of all, on the careers guidance, it was a tragedy to see Irish boys going just on the building sites in order to get more money.
Yes.
We decided they should go into the teaching profession, into the banks, into the insurance companies, and even into Aer Lingus here.
Now, the new emigrants, are they completely different from the old emigrants?
I'd say so. I didn't know the old ones, but certainly, I mean, these are a credit anyway we get over now.
Whichever party provides home buying facilities and reasonable rents will affect the Irish vote.
Well, we've got a wonderful social life here for a start. We've got Pioneer Socials, Legion of Mary Socials. We get lots of theatre tickets from friends.
I think you have to accept the way of life here, really. You have to become a part of a community, especially if you're rearing a family in the country. And trying to get places for them in particular schools, a grave obligation is put on us as parents to have a Catholic education for our children. Tremendous problem, but we have been very fortunate where we have 5 at the moment going to Catholic schools. Other people in the area haven't, in actual fact, been so lucky to send their children to state schools.